Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, farmers and potential farmers. You're welcome again to Adelwin Farms. It's always such a pleasure and a joy to share with you our progress and everything we've been through so far. We will not keep anything hidden. We will share with you as much as we can. Today, we will be talking about one of the things that we did that saved us lots and lots of money. This is actually, we're going to be talking about post harvest losses. Before we started this farming journey, Peter and I decided to research into the problems that farmers face and how we would mitigate it even before starting. And the top three that we realized was unreliable rainfall patterns, post harvest losses, and market. So today we will be delving into post harvest losses. Um, what we noticed was that lots of farmers would farm, especially the grains, and then what happened was at the end of the day, we all grow at the same time, and then there is bumper harvest everywhere. There's nowhere to sell the corn, there's nowhere to dry it. And even those who decide to dry it, they will just dry it outside, and then goats, chicken, everything, it was just untidy. So we decided to look into it. It was a very hard thing to do because we were literally not getting any information whatsoever. And eventually, on one night shift, I chanced on this solar dryer. And this solar dryer, I think it was done by there's some Germans or from Netherlands, I'm not too sure, but they sponsored people in Idra to do this solar dryer. I'll be talking more about it. So basically, what this solar dryer is that it's just a device that uses the sun to remove moisture from food that helps to preserve the food or the grains for much longer. So it just captures sunlight, and then it converts the heat from the sunlight and just dries the contents inside. The main material used in there is the UV sheets. I'll explain more as we go further. So what it does is that you use just a UV sheet to just create a structure, and then just use that UV sheet as a shelter around it, and then it traps the sunlight, and whatever the heat outside is, if it's like 25 degrees outside, it at least doubles the heat inside the structure. So if it's 25 degrees outside, you get about 50 degrees inside. So basically that heat is what extracts the moisture from the grain or from whatever that you were drying, and actually dries it out. So basically, once the solar dryer heats up, the warm air circulates, absorbing all the moisture from the grains or the roots. You can dry beans, you can dry corn, cassava, pepper, fruits, meat, fish, whatsoever. And it will interest you to know that people in Cote d'Ivoire, farmers in Cote d'Ivoire, actually use this. Some of them, the research that I did, some of them actually use that to dry their cocoa, and it worked perfectly. And then in somewhere Central Africa, they used it to dry their fish, and it worked so perfectly. The amazing part is that this does not need any form of fuel, gas, whatsoever. It just uses the sunlight that we get for free in Ghana. Temperatures in Kintampo, where our farmers can go as high as 35 degrees. So imagine having such resource that we don't even use at all. And then it's so eco-friendly, such that there's literally no side effects, because the UV sheet that you use, it kind of extracts, it sees the ultraviolet rays away from it. So the food content in there is completely safe. And then it will also interest you to know that for something like corn, within, if the sun is quite high, let's just say if you have like 30 degrees on a daily basis, your corn could get dried up to, I think, a moisture content of 9% in like 2 days, if my memory serves me right. So it's that effective. And then in the afternoons, or not even in the afternoon, at times as early as 9 a.m. when the sun is up, you cannot for the life of me stand inside this dryer. It gets so hot. In fact, it more shankasa. When the sun comes up, it just heats the thing up so quickly. So when I read about it initially, human as we are, I was very skeptical. I'm like, will this work? Will it not work? Well, we wouldn't know unless we tried. So we decided to send one of my brothers to Edra to look into it. He went straight to the agric office. They were very receptive. He showed them the research, the pictures of what we had found out, and it took them a few minutes to actually find out who actually did it. They eventually managed to get the man's number, and then my brother went straight to the man. He was also another lovely man, very receptive. He gave us lots and lots of information, explained to us how it worked, how it all came about. And he did actually confirm that it was sponsored. It was a sponsored project. I'm not too sure that was Netherlands or Germans, but it was a sponsored project that he had done. And he also tried to show us other projects that he had done, other drives that he had done, but those ones used gas and fuel and stuff. But we didn't think that was sustainable enough. Then lo and behold, he took us to the structure, and this is what we have there. We were in complete shock when we found the state of the structure, because we were expecting it to still be functioning, and there it was. We were in fact shocked, petrified, mortified, flabbergasted, all of it. And I did not for the life of me understand why the structure was in that state. It only went to confirm that the maintenance culture in Ghana is not there yet. We are not there yet. Because if this is a structure that was sponsored and everybody was using it for free, definitely there would be wear and tear. If there's wear and tear, who is supposed to do it? Are we actually still waiting for the people who sponsored it to come and maintain it for us? Well, even in this state, you can see that people are still drying their corn in it. So that was it for you. Yeah, he did explain to us that unfortunately the people were not able to maintain it, and I was actually expecting people to replicate this in other areas, but I've only seen one other dryer done somewhere in one of Enyonam's videos. That's just it. But this is something I think the Ministry of Agriculture should have, you know, made a lot of noise about for other people to do it, because it basically uses renewable energy. You do not have any cost again. So yeah, there and then the man showed us the dimensions and everything. So we had to get a carpenter to go there and have a look at it. The carpenter went there, he took the dimensions and everything. The carpenter actually did very well. It was a self-funded journey. He went there by himself. He funded his own trip, because I was expecting him to ask us for transportation, but he didn't. He went there by himself, and then he got the dimensions. The man explained to him how it would work. So we just decided to just crack on. Now the main problem was now getting the material, which was a UV sheet, UV polish sheets. We searched everywhere in Kumasi, everywhere in Accra. That was back then, 2022. We couldn't find it. I don't know about now. And we finally chanced on a man who was importing stuff from China, and he added the polish sheets for us. That took a couple of weeks to arrive. But whilst we were waiting for the polish sheets to arrive, we obviously had to crack on with the rest of it. So we got the carpenter and the masons to work, and the structure you see here, it's I think 10 meters by 5 meters at a height of 3.5 meters.
Yes, actually 10 by 7 by 3.
Oh, 10 by 7 by 3. Yeah. So the roof you see there, the carpenter initially thought we were going to use roofing sheet, but we told him no, it was going to be the UV sheet. So he put in unnecessary wood at the top, but it still worked, so we didn't really mind. So eventually he did it. The masons came around, they did their bits, and it took a couple of months to get everything together. And in and out, they will come today, they will not come the next day. And because it was in a rainy season, it was a struggle getting the wood on site because it was muddy everywhere. But yeah, we had a pretty good team. We eventually came to a very good compromise, and then we got the structure there, only awaiting the UV sheet. Now, when the UV sheet also arrived, we now had to explain to the carpenter how to get the thing done. In fact, we had not seen it. The carpenter had not used it before. So this was a very massive risk. In fact, just as every farming project, it is a risk, Ankasa, because you don't know how it's going to turn out. And this structure cost us 20,000 Ghana cedis, roughly 20,000 Ghana cedis. Back then, that was a lot of money. On top of my head, this should have been like £3,000 back then. That was a lot of money, but it was a risk we were prepared to take, because this would have been better than getting something that, we had to be buying fuel and then having recurring costs. So we were like, yeah, let's give it a shot. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, at least we still have our wood, isn't it? And we can still use the polish it for something else. So yes, the carpenter did his best, and he managed to get the structure down. What was very comforting for us was that when they were halfway through the project, the carpenter actually told us that it was getting too hot for them to work in the afternoon. So they had to work only early in the mornings, because as early as 9 a.m., when the sun's, starts shining, it gets very, very, very hot inside. So that was some relief for us, knowing that it was going to work. And one of the challenges we also faced was the carpenter's finishes, because there were nails sticking out everywhere, and if you're not careful, you end up getting injured. We had a few bruises and scratches from the nails, and we just had to deal with it. But what was very comforting for us was that it did the job perfectly. This has saved us a lot of money, because we've used it to dry cassava, corn, pepper, just you name it. And if my memory serves me right, this structure can actually dry up to 20 bags of corn at a time. It can hold up to 20 bags of corn at a time.
Up to 30.
Is it up to 30 bags?
Yeah,
Oh,
because
good.
if you include all the top shelves.
The top shelves. Okay, up to 30. And if the temperature is good, if you have a bright sunny day, within a couple of days, your corn is done. And all you've got to do is that every now and again, you just go in and just give it a little stir, so that the corn underneath would also, get dry.
The tanning can be done either early morning or late in the evening, around 5, 6.
That's perfect then, yeah. Because I do recall we had this. There's this corn that I think the first corn that we did, we were able to come to a moisture content of 9% in just a couple of days. And it will interest you to know that we still have that corn there. It's been how many years now? 4 years.
Yeah,
And the
so
corn
that's
is
some.
still there.
Yeah.
It's still in very good condition. So this thing really, really, really works. So one advice to my dear farmers is that we always should look out for projects that do not require recurrent cost, because this thing is expensive. Farming is expensive. And if you are in a diaspora, or if you are living somewhere and your farm is somewhere, you do not want to be doing projects that would incur cost every now and again, because you are not there. You do not know. Imagine this had to be using fuel. Every day you would buy fuel for it to be done. Whether the fuel is being used for that purpose, you do not know. So if we actually make good use of our renewable resources, and then if we look into systems that do not require you spending money every now and again, I think that would really help. As I'm talking to you now, this structure is still there, functioning as it should. I think we've done one renovation because of heavy rains. I think that's just it. It wasn't even anything major. And then the UV sheet is also very strong. Unless you actually perforate it with a sharp object, it's absolutely fine. Whether rainfall or sunshine, it's absolutely great. And yeah, that is me in there. The structure is absolutely magnificent. I absolutely love it, and it's one of the best investments that we have had so far in this our farming journey. So thank you very much, everybody, and I hope we all learn to make good use of our renewable energy.